The NBA trade deadline is quickly approaching, and the Lakers right now are in hot pursuit to make a deal because they immediately want to get better for their championship run this year. Right now, it is a very popular rumor that Rob Pelinka and the Houston Rockets are having multiple phone calls and conversations about the possibility of Russell Westbrook being traded in exchange for John Wall. This is the biggest rumor we're hearing right now. Lakers rumors, the Rockets may be willing to trade John Wall for Russell Westbrook and a 2027 first-round pick. As simple as it sounds, the salary matches and a trade could happen if both teams agree. But now the biggest question is, should the Lakers even trade Russell Westbrook for John Wall? This is the conversation right now. And if I'm gonna give you my personal answer, I'm saying no. Do not do a Russell Westbrook trade for John Wall 1-for-1 and even give them that first-round draft pick. I'm saying no, do not do that. For this video, I'm going to be talking about an alternative solution, talking about a new complete roster where the Lakers and the Rockets make a deal, and then of course the Lakers get more than just John Wall in a trade package. And I guarantee you 100%, if you see this trade idea, you're going to absolutely love it as a Lakers fan. So if you're a big NBA fan, you love trade scenarios, and you're a fan of the LA Lakers, you're going to love this video because I'm going to be talking about a new complete blueprint that will give the Lakers a new look roster going into this year's NBA playoffs during the NBA trade deadline. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a very special episode of Easy Buckets. My name is Soom, and I make basketball videos every single day. So if you're new here, be sure to hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications to not miss any of my upcoming videos. If you watched this trade video and you loved it, do me a solid and smash that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate it. Trust me, guys, a like goes a long way. It'll help out the channel a lot. I'm going to be giving you guys a lot of trade videos going into the NBA trade deadline, so stay tuned for even more. But without wasting any more time, let's talk about the Lakers' ultimate new blueprint. According to NBA insider Mark Stein, he says the Rockets are open to a trade in which Russell Westbrook could be brought back to the team. We all know 2 seasons ago, Russell Westbrook played with James Harden on the Rockets, and honestly, Russell Westbrook was pretty good then. He averaged about 28 points, had about 8 boards and 8 assists per game with the Rockets. And then of course ultimately helped them go to the second round of the NBA bubble playoffs, but ended up losing to the Lakers. But the good news about the Rockets in this deal is that they're interested in getting Russell Westbrook back. And of course, if they do get Russell Westbrook, I do believe they're going to ask for more, because Russell Westbrook has been declining and is definitely not his previous self 2 years ago. This is the biggest report right now when talking about a conversation and a trade demand, and it's the Rockets demanding a first-round draft pick to send John Wall to the Lakers, of course, in exchange for Russell Westbrook. An inside source from The Athletic says this: for a deal to get done, the Houston Rockets will have to be enticed with an aggressive Lakers approach, one involving either a third team or suitable additional assets to make it work. Houston would require the Lakers' 2027 first rounder in such a deal, but it's unclear whether the Lakers are able to put that on the table. And for what it looks like right now, we're not sure if Rob Pelinka would even do the Russell Westbrook and John Wall swap in general. Going back to Mark Stein, he says this specifically: I have been advised that I should amend my previous characterization of the Lakers' finding of Russell Westbrook trade from outright impossible to extremely unlikely. There is at least one team out there that would take him, league sources, if the conditions are right. The team, surprisingly, is the Houston Rockets. I, like many around the league, was previously under the impression that the Rockets would have less than zero interest in a Westbrook reunion after Houston traded Westbrook away to Washington for John Wall in 2020, shortly after the start of last season. So of course I agree with Mark Stein here. I'm surprised the Rockets even want Russell Westbrook back. He continues and says, I've since learned that the Rockets, while indeed holding no interest in having Westbrook play for them again, actually would be amenable to another Westbrook for Wall swap if the Lakers incentivize the trade with a sufficient draft compensation. Let's be real, John Wall's not even playing for them right now, and John Wall's gonna leave them this summer, so of course might as well get a draft pick in return. Mark Stein continues and says, to be clear, this is not a scenario likely to materialize between now and February 10th, or one I would advise the Lakers to pursue so soon, even after all of my criticism of the Westbrook trade in the first place. Yet, sources say that the Lakers could convince Houston to take Westbrook back for Wall if they attach their 27th first-round pick to the deal. The Lakers could naturally offer multiple second-round picks instead, but LA's first-rounder is the piece rivals team's natural covet. Right now, the Rockets want that first-round pick, and I do believe if a trade were to happen, that deal's got to be in the picture. So as I mentioned earlier, I don't want the Lakers to make a trade just for John Wall and Russell Westbrook. I want more than that. And this is the first trade scenario I want them to pursue. It's offering up Russell Westbrook, Talen Horton-Tucker, and their first round draft pick of 2027 in exchange for John Wall and Christian Wood. What do you guys think about this trade scenario? They get John Wall to replace Russell Westbrook and then Christian Wood to be their new power forward center alongside Anthony Davis at the power forward position. Right now, the Houston Rockets are actively shopping the trade market and they've made everybody available, even Kevin Porter Jr., even Christian Wood, everybody except Jalen Green. And that's why I do believe if the Lakers and the Rockets have a conversation and they're going to offer up their first round pick, at least try to get Christian Wood as a big time upgrade over Talen Horton-Tucker. Because right now, we have Malik Monk and Austin Reeves stepping up into that THT role. And I do believe those guys are the future to replace Talen Horton-Tucker if he ends up getting traded during this year's NBA trade deadline. The best part about this deal is the Lakers getting Christian Wood alongside John Wall. If the Lakers don't get Wood in this deal, I don't believe they should include that first round pick in the conversation at all. But I do want to give you guys one more trade scenario where the Lakers end up trading Russell Westbrook for John Wall, and then there's a pretty good deal in exchange. And it's the Lakers offering up Russell Westbrook, THT, Kendrick Nunn, so they keep their first round draft pick, and then in return get John Wall and Eric Gordon. I know a lot of you Laker fans right now are demanding Eric Gordon goes to the Lakers to be a six-man scoring spark plug off the bench, to simply be a veteran leader, a floor spacer, and a player that can drop 15 points per game, similar to Carmelo Anthony. As of right now, the Rockets are going nowhere with the NBA playoffs and are not going to make it anytime soon. And Eric Gordon is simply on a roster that has no future for him. And that's why I do believe with him entering an expiring contract, the Rockets are going to actively trade him during this year's NBA trade deadline, as they do want to get future assets in return, of course, instead of losing Eric Gordon for nothing. Kendrick Nunn and THT are on contract for 2 more seasons, and with that being said, the Rockets don't lose anything instead of losing John Wall and Eric Gordon potentially in free agency if they don't make a move. So I do believe Eric Gordon will be a great piece as a 6-man guard off the bench for the Lakers to be a 15 points per game scoring spark plug. Overall, I do want to say the conversation of John Wall and Russell Westbrook, who's better? I'm going to say Russell Westbrook is better, but the difference between John Wall and Russell Westbrook is the ideal fit of them on the Lakers roster. And I do believe John Wall being a better catch and shoot player and floor spacer than Russell Westbrook, he would be a natural better fit on the Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis over Russell Westbrook. And that's why I do believe overall getting John Wall to replace Russell Westbrook is not a bad idea. But the only problem about getting John Wall is his durability. He's been very injury prone over the past 4 seasons, and of course that's the risk right now Rob Pelinka and the Lakers are worried about. Is John Wall even healthy? But with John Wall not playing a single game ever since last year's mid-season, he seems to be healthy, and for what he's saying, he's ready to go, as he's still 31 years old and in his prime, of course when active. Russell Westbrook and John Wall being traded, this is how it would be done. What's most important to me is I want to know your thoughts. Do you believe it's smart for the Lakers to go for John Wall, or do you believe they should stay put with Russell Westbrook? Put your thoughts down in the comments below. But other than that, take it easy, God bless, and I'll see you all next time on Easy Buckets. Woo!